What an indictment! The younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No. I have no empathy for it. Give me a break.
Those are some excellent Republican talking points, Joe Biden. Good strategy telling the largest and most energetic faction of the party that you have no empathy for them. If you didn't hear, Joe Biden announced that he is officially running for president today. Shocker. But one quote really caught my eye, and it sums up one of Biden's largest problems, his hubris. I get calls from people all over the world. World leaders are calling me, and they're almost begging me to do this, to save the country, save the world, Biden said. No, that's not Donald Trump speaking. That's former U.S. Senator and former Vice President Joe Biden saying that he is going to save the world with his candidacy. Yes, Joe Biden. Can you imagine Bernie Sanders saying something like that? No, his message has always been, it's us, it's the movement, it's the ideas. And the theme of Biden's arrogance continues.
I know I get criticized. I'm told I get criticized by the new left. I have the most progressive record of anybody running for the anybody who would run.
Really, Joe, you're really going to contend that you're the most progressive person in the race because you know that Google exists, right? Or maybe he doesn't. I've laid this out before, and maybe Biden needs a reminder. Biden was personally involved in almost every bad policy decision of the last 40 years. He pushed the party away from civil rights, starting his career with George Wallace-style duplicitous fear-mongering about school integration. Yes, Biden was against integration in the 70s. The most progressive person in the race, he says. Biden voted for repeated rounds of deregulation in multiple areas and helped roll back antitrust policy, often siding with Republicans in the process. He was a key architect of the infamous 2005 bankruptcy reform bill, which made means tests much more strict and near impossible to discharge student loans in bankruptcy. He also voted for the most idiotic foreign policy blunder in American history, namely the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Biden's history of siding with Republicans was also evident in his campaign announcement, too. The first minute of his 2020 announcement talks about the events of Charlottesville, Virginia, and Trump saying that there were good people on both sides after the Nazi rally. He then adds,
I believe history will look back on 4 years of this president and all he embraces as an aberrant moment in time.
So remember, this is from the guy who was anti-integration in the 70s. This is from the guy who authored the deeply racist 1994 crime bill. This is the guy who sided with Republicans over and over. That's why he thinks Trump is an aberrant moment in time. He doesn't understand racism or progressivism. He doesn't understand that Trump is the Frankenstein of the Republican Party. His racism and his cruelty are the manifestation of the politics they have played for decades and decades. He's no aberration. He's a culmination. And Biden's fundamental misunderstanding of this is why if it's Trump versus Biden in 2020, Trump will win. You have to understand your enemy to defeat them. Plus the fact that Biden just doesn't have any policy positions except that he's Obama 2.0. And because he's too arrogant to actually look at the Democratic base and ask what they want. Instead, he calls them whiny babies, basically, and kicks off his 2020 campaign with a fundraiser at a Comcast executive's home attended by Blue Cross CEO Dan Hilferty. In his arrogance, he thinks that the politics of old will be enough for him to be elected president, when the politics of old is why Trump is in office in the first place. He doesn't see the need to understand why young people are hurting because of his hubris. I believe that it will be what does him in, so he is not the nominee, and I hope that he isn't too, for the sake of the country.
What an indictment!